I trusted my family more than I should have. When my parents asked for emergency access to my credit cards last year, I agreed without hesitation. They were getting older, and I wanted to ensure they could handle unexpected medical bills. What I never imagined was logging into my accounts to find $30,000 in charges for a luxury Mediterranean vacation to Greece, Italy, and Spain. Hotels, first-class flights, private tours, yacht rentals, all booked for my parents, sister, and her husband. Not a single mention to me. Not a thank you. Nothing. When they ignored my calls, a calm clarity washed over me. I tracked their flight to Athens and waited until they were somewhere over the Atlantic, unreachable at 35,000 feet. Then I methodically canceled everything. Before I tell you what happened when they landed to nothing but chaos, drop a comment letting me know where you are watching from, and hit subscribe if you have ever had to teach someone a lesson about respecting boundaries. Working 60-hour weeks at my software development company in Seattle had finally paid off. At 36, I had built a comfortable life for myself, a downtown condo with views of Puget Sound investments that were performing well and enough disposable income to indulge my passions for mountain biking and photography. My success had come through relentless work ethic and careful financial planning traits I had developed largely without family guidance. Growing up in suburban Minnesota, our family had always struggled financially. My father, Tom, worked as a high school history teacher while my mother, Karen, juggled part-time receptionist jobs. My sister, Heather, 3 years younger, and I shared a bedroom until I was 15 in our modest 3-bedroom Rambler. Despite limited resources, our parents emphasized education and encouraged us to pursue college degrees. I took this advice seriously, securing scholarships and working multiple jobs to graduate with minimal debt from the University of Minnesota with a computer science degree. Heather took a different approach to life. Academically gifted but unmotivated, she dropped out of college after 3 semesters to find herself a journey that led through a series of retail jobs and failed artistic ventures. When she met Brad during a vacation in Florida, she quickly relocated to be with him. Their wedding 8 months later was an elaborate affair that strained everyone's finances, including mine. Though Brad worked in real estate, his income fluctuated dramatically, and Heather had never held a job longer than 18 months. Our parents had always shown subtle favoritism toward Heather. As children, my achievements were expected while hers were celebrated. When I secured my first programming internship at 19, my father remarked, "Well, computers are easy for you." When Heather sold a painting at a local fair, my parents framed the newspaper mention and displayed it prominently for years. This dynamic extended into our adult lives. My promotions and business successes received perfunctory acknowledgement, while Heather's smallest accomplishments warranted family celebrations. I had accepted this imbalance as unchangeable and focused on building my own life 3,000 miles away. The pattern of financial requests began shortly after I founded my company 5 years ago. First came calls from my parents about unexpected home repairs, a leaking roof, a failed furnace, that they could not afford on their limited retirement income. Though money was tight for my fledgling business, I sent what I could, viewing it as repayment for the sacrifices they had made for my education. Heather's requests soon followed. Her car had broken down. Brad's real estate commissions were delayed. Their rent had increased unexpectedly. Each situation was presented as temporary and urgent. Each time I transferred funds with minimal questions, wanting to be the supportive family member I had always tried to be. As my business grew more successful, so did the frequency and scale of requests. My parents decided to renovate their kitchen now that you can afford to help us enjoy our retirement. Heather and Brad needed assistance with a down payment on a house in an upscale Tampa neighborhood because the schools are better for when we have kids. The implied obligation in these requests bothered me, but I rationalized that helping family was the right thing to do. The first incident that should have served as a warning came 3 years ago when I discovered my parents had given Heather $15,000 that I had sent specifically for my father's knee surgery. When confronted, my mother became defensive. Heather and Brad were about to be evicted, she explained. Your father decided he could manage with physical therapy a little longer. Family helps family in emergencies. I expressed concern, but ultimately let it go when my father assured me he would still get the necessary procedure. 6 months later, when they requested more money for the same surgery, I sent it despite my reservations. The credit card situation developed gradually. During a visit to Seattle 2 years ago, my mother experienced chest pains that resulted in an emergency room visit. Though tests showed nothing serious, the $5,000 bill created significant stress. After watching them argue about how to cover unexpected medical expenses, I offered a solution. I am going to add you as authorized users on 2 of my credit cards I proposed. Keep them only for genuine medical emergencies. The limits are high enough to cover anything serious until insurance kicks in. My father appeared uncomfortable, but my mother quickly accepted. You have always been our responsible one. This brings me such peace of mind. I added them to my American Express with a $30,000 limit and my Visa with a $20,000 limit, explicitly stating these were only for health emergencies. I even wrote down these terms in an email to create a clear record of the arrangement. For 18 months, the cards remained unused. Occasionally, I would verify this when reviewing my statements, always relieved to find zero activity. This consistent responsibility lulled me into a false sense of security. Perhaps I had misjudged the situation. Then came the beginning of what would become the most expensive lesson in family boundaries I would ever experience. The first notification arrived on a Tuesday morning in June while I was in a client meeting. My phone buzzed with an American Express alert: unusual activity detected, $5,862 charge at Olympic Airways. I dismissed it initially, planning to review it after my presentation. When the meeting ended 2 hours later, 3 more notifications awaited me. Additional charges had posted $4,350 at Aegean Paradise Resort, $2,975 at Mediterranean Luxury Tours, and $3,200 at Elite Athens Transportation. A quick calculation showed nearly $16,000 in charges within hours. Heart racing, I called the American Express fraud department while simultaneously logging into my account. The representative confirmed multiple charges were continuing to post from various travel-related merchants, all originating in Tampa, Florida, where Heather and Brad lived. "Would you like me to freeze the account?" the representative asked. Something made me hesitate. Not yet. I need to investigate this situation first. My call to my parents went straight to voicemail. Same with Heather and Brad. I sent text messages to everyone asking for immediate contact regarding credit card activity. No responses. Increasingly concerned, I called my mother's best friend Diane, who had been like an aunt to me growing up. "Oh, they have not told you," Diane sounded surprised. "They left for Europe this morning. Some big family vacation they have been planning for months. Your mom has been so excited about it." My stomach dropped. All of them. My parents and Heather and Brad, yes. The 4 of them. 3 weeks touring Greece, Italy, and Spain. Your mom sent me their itinerary in case of emergencies back home. They should be in the air to Athens right now. After thanking her and ending the call, I sat in stunned silence. The reality was setting in. My family had deliberately used my emergency credit cards to fund an elaborate European vacation without my knowledge or permission. The charges were continuing to accumulate as bookings processed through the system. With shaking hands, I searched my email for any communication I might have missed. Nothing. I checked my spam folder. Nothing. They had not even attempted to discuss this with me. By evening, the total charges across both cards had reached $32,000. The transactions painted a picture of extravagant luxury hotel suites, first-class airline tickets, private tours, yacht rentals, high-end restaurant deposits, and shopping excursions. They had spared no expense with my money. Sleep eluded me that night as I cycled through disbelief, rage, and hurt. By morning, I had moved into a cold, calculating clarity. I needed information before deciding how to respond. I called Diane again, this time asking if she would share the itinerary my mother had sent her. She hesitated briefly before agreeing. "I am sure there has just been a misunderstanding," she said, forwarding the email to me. The detailed schedule revealed meticulous planning. They would land in Athens at 10:15 a.m. local time, tomorrow, where a private car would transport them to the Aegean Paradise Resort for 3 nights. From there, they would take a ferry to Santorini for 4 nights at the cliffside luxury villas, followed by flights to Rome and Barcelona. Every detail had been arranged, from spa appointments to sunset dinner cruises. The email thread Diane forwarded contained something else: messages between my family members discussing the trip planning. Reading through them, my last hopes of this being a misunderstanding evaporated. "Do you think we should tell James about using his cards my father had written 3 weeks earlier?" "Absolutely not," Heather replied. "He will just lecture us about money again. Besides, he owes us after buying that ridiculous new boat for himself last year." I had purchased a modest fishing boat, my one significant indulgence after years of building my business. "He has more money than he knows what to do with," my mother added. "He will not even notice these charges until we are back, and by then he will be over it. We deserve this vacation after everything we have been through." Brad's contribution was most revealing. "The cards are in your names anyway. Technically, you are authorized users. He gave you permission to use them, right?" Their casual entitlement to my money and dismissal of my boundaries crystallized something within me. This was not a misunderstanding or momentary lapse in judgment. This was a calculated deception by the people who should have respected me the most. I checked the flight status for their Athens-bound journey. Currently over the Atlantic, they would be unreachable for several more hours. In that time, I could decide how to respond. The responsible option would be contacting the credit card companies reporting unauthorized use and beginning the fraud dispute process. This would protect my finances but potentially create legal complications for my family. The passive option would be accepting the charges, expressing my disappointment, and establishing clearer boundaries for the future. This would preserve family harmony but cost me $30,000, and more importantly, my self-respect. A third option emerged as I reviewed their meticulous itinerary. They had planned this vacation without my input or consent. Perhaps they should experience the consequences of that decision with equal surprise. Decision made. I opened my laptop and began systematically gathering information about each booking. I created a spreadsheet tracking every reservation, number, contact information, and cancellation policy. Many of the luxury bookings included generous cancellation terms, if done more than 24 hours before arrival. Next, I called both credit card companies and explained the situation, not as fraud since technically they were authorized users, but as a violation of the explicit terms I had established. "I need to remove these individuals as authorized users immediately," I explained, "and I want new cards issued with new numbers." Both representatives expressed sympathy for my situation and processed the changes. The American Express representative was particularly helpful. "We can also place a temporary hold on these charges while you attempt to cancel the reservations," she offered. "This will give you time to reclaim as much of the funds as possible." Armed with this information and support, I settled in to wait for their plane to reach the halfway point over the Atlantic, the point of no return where turning back would be impossible. According to the flight tracker, this would occur at approximately 2:00 a.m. Seattle time. As the hour approached, a moment of doubt crept in. Was I really prepared to leave my family stranded in a foreign country? The memory of their dismissive messages steeled my resolve. They had made their decisions with complete disregard for me. They had violated my trust deliberately and repeatedly. The consequences would be proportional to their actions. At precisely 2:17 a.m., with their flight showing as 5 hours from landing in Athens, I began executing my plan with methodical precision. The cancellation process required meticulous attention to detail. Starting with the most expensive reservations first, I worked through my spreadsheet systematically. Each call followed a similar pattern. "Hello, I need to cancel a reservation made under the name Tom or Karen Wilson. May I ask the reason for cancellation, sir? There has been an unauthorized use of my credit card. I am the cardholder, but I did not approve these bookings." Most customer service representatives were understanding once I explained the situation. The Aegean Paradise Resort representative even expressed sympathy. Family complications can be the most difficult. We will process this cancellation with no penalty. The airline was more challenging, requiring documentation proving I was the cardholder. I emailed copies of my statements showing I was the primary account holder, and after a 30-minute hold, they agreed to cancel the ongoing reservations for Italy and Spain portions of the trip. The first leg to Athens was already in progress, and non-refundable but all connecting flights were canceled. Luxury tour companies, private drivers, yacht charters, restaurant reservations. One by one, I methodically erased the itinerary they had so carefully constructed. Some bookings resulted in partial refunds, others in complete returns to my cards. By 6:00 a.m., I had canceled 23 separate reservations. Finally, I called both credit card companies again to verify the authorized user removal had been processed and to confirm that the cards themselves had been canceled. New cards would be expedited to me, but the existing account numbers were now defunct. Any attempt to use those physical cards would be declined. "Is there anything else we can assist with?" the Visa representative asked. "No, thank you. You have been extremely helpful." The flight tracker showed their plane 3 hours from Athens. Soon they would land, turn on their phones, and discover the consequences of their actions. Part of me felt a twinge of guilt imagining their panic. The larger part felt a profound sense of justice. I sent a single text message to each of them. Unauthorized use of emergency medical credit cards for vacation expenses has resulted in cancellation of all cards and reservations. This message is to inform you that you will need to make alternative arrangements upon your arrival in Athens. Future communication should go through email only. Then I turned off my phone, took a sleeping pill, and went to bed. For the first time in days, I slept deeply and dreamlessly, unburdened by the weight of their expectations and entitlement. When I awoke 9 hours later and checked my phone, the deluge had already begun. 37 missed calls, 68 text messages, 23 voicemails. The first voicemail captured the initial shock. My mother's voice tight with panic. "James, there must be some mistake. Our cards are being declined at the hotel. Please call immediately." The second from my father, more hesitant. "Son, I understand you are upset. We should have discussed the cards with you. But please reconsider what you are doing. We are stranded here." Heather's messages escalated from confusion to rage. "What the actual hell? James, turn the cards back on right now. You cannot do this to us." Brad's contribution was predictably threatening. "You better fix this immediately or there will be serious consequences." "We know lawyers, man." I listened to each message, noting the evolution from shock to anger to bargaining. Not once did any of them acknowledge the fundamental violation of trust. Not once did they accept responsibility for their actions. It was all about the inconvenience to them, the embarrassment they were facing. Instead of responding individually, I sent a group email. "I have received your messages." To clarify, I provided those cards only for medical emergencies, which was explicitly stated and acknowledged. A European vacation does not qualify as a medical emergency. You made these arrangements without my knowledge or consent, discussing among yourselves how to hide your actions from me until it was too late. You demonstrated complete disregard for my boundaries and financial autonomy. I have not reported this as fraud, though legally I could have. I have simply canceled cards that were being misused and removed, unauthorized users who violated the terms of their access. You are adults with your own resources. I suggest you contact your own banks, credit cards, or alternative funding sources to arrange your return travel and accommodations. This situation is the direct consequence of your choices, not mine. I will not be responding to further messages about this matter for the foreseeable future. I then set up email filters to organize their responses into a separate folder I could review when emotionally prepared and blocked their numbers temporarily from calling or texting. Through mutual connections, I learned they had spent their first night sleeping in the Athens airport while scrambling to access emergency funds. Eventually, they secured significantly less luxurious accommodations and arranged economy flights home after just 3 days, cutting their 3-week dream vacation drastically short. The financial fallout hit them hard. They had counted on my cards covering the entire vacation, and had not budgeted their own resources accordingly. My parents had to withdraw funds from their retirement account, incurring penalties. Heather and Brad maxed out their own credit cards with high-interest cash advances. But the relational consequences ran deeper than money. They had revealed their true perception of me, not as a family member to be respected, but as a resource to be exploited. And I had finally established that their perception did not define my reality. The 2 months following the Athens incident, as I now refer to it, brought significant changes to my family dynamics. My parents and sister attempted various strategies to re-establish connection: guilt trips, health concerns, third-party interventions from relatives, and eventually half-hearted apologies that still placed partial blame on me for overreacting. I maintained my distance, using the time to reflect on patterns I had long ignored. With the help of weekly therapy sessions, I began recognizing how family roles established in childhood had persisted into adulthood. I had been cast as the responsible provider, expected to solve everyone else's problems while receiving minimal emotional support in return. Financial boundaries are particularly difficult in families. My therapist, Dr. Levine, observed. Money becomes entangled with love, obligation, and worth. Your family confused your success with unlimited access to your resources. 3 months after the incident, my father reached out with the first genuine acknowledgement of wrongdoing. His emails, sent from his personal account rather than my mother's, which had been the family communication hub, showed a different perspective. I have been reflecting on what happened, and I want to take personal responsibility for my part in it, he wrote. The credit cards were entrusted to us for emergencies, and we violated that trust. I should have spoken up when the vacation plan was first discussed. I let myself be persuaded against my better judgment, and in doing so I failed to respect you as an adult and as my son. I am truly sorry, James. This message opened the door to a cautious resumption of contact. We began with email exchanges, then progressed to occasional phone calls. My mother eventually followed with her own apology, though hers focused more on the embarrassment of being stranded than on the violation of trust. Still, it represented movement toward accountability. Heather proved the most resistant to acknowledging any wrongdoing. Her perspective remained that I had humiliated the family and should have handled the situation privately after their return. 6 months passed before she sent a terse message. I still think you went nuclear on us, but I should not have taken your cards without asking. That was wrong. Brad and I have not resumed contact, which honestly feels like a relief, given his consistently negative influence on family financial decisions. The most profound change has been internal. I established clear, non-negotiable boundaries around financial assistance. I closed joint accounts that had existed since my childhood. I removed all family members as beneficiaries on accounts where they had previously been listed, replacing them with charitable foundations aligned with my values. When my parents experienced a genuine medical situation last month, my father required unexpected gallbladder surgery. I arranged payment directly with the hospital rather than providing open access to funds. This approach allowed me to offer support while maintaining appropriate boundaries. My relationship with money has transformed as well. I no longer view my financial success as something that creates obligation toward family members who make poor choices. Instead, I see it as a resource to be managed responsibly according to my own values and priorities. Last week, I received an invitation to Thanksgiving dinner at my parents' home. The invitation came with a noteworthy stipulation. We will not discuss finances or ask for money. This is simply about being family again, if you are willing to try. I have accepted, cautiously optimistic that new patterns might be possible now that old expectations have been dismantled. The relationships may never return to what they were before, but perhaps they can evolve into something healthier, connections based on mutual respect rather than financial dependence. The $30,000 vacation that never truly happened became an expensive but necessary investment in my self-worth. Sometimes the most loving thing we can do, for ourselves and others, is to allow natural consequences to unfold, rather than rushing to rescue people from their own choices. It is a lesson, my family, and I learned the hard way. but one that has ultimately created the possibility for more authentic connection. Has someone in your life ever taken advantage of your generosity or violated your financial boundaries? How did you respond? Share your experience in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please hit the like button and subscribe to hear more stories about establishing healthy boundaries. And if you know someone struggling with family financial dynamics, share this video with them. Sometimes knowing we are not alone in these challenges makes all the difference. Thank you for listening to my journey, and may you find the courage to protect your boundaries with those you love, even when it is difficult.